Tell me more about that.
My collar's blue and my neck is red. Working like a dog to keep my family fed.
Welcome back to Mountains Don't Like Baseball,
We're
episode
living off
7.
energy drinks and Marlboro Reds.
All blue collar gentlemen over here with hard hands.
And that
Not
is what
soft.
this episode's about. Me
and
soft
my
hands.
hard hands.
I would like to come clean quite immediately. I didn't do the songs of the week. And I've thought about it a bunch of times, and I didn't do
Dude,
it.
I've been
I
on
did
my shit
1
for song,
hour ago. Yeah, you have.
and then I didn't do it. So I just came clean.
You get a free mulligan week because you had your own week.
That's true.
Oh, dude.
That's true. My bad.
Well, anyway, from my 70s decade, I put in 25 or 624 by Chicago. Very good. Everyone in this call will like it because it's very good. Anyway.
That's awesome. Thank you for doing it, Glenn.
Yeah, you're so welcome. I did it an hour ago.
I woke up this morning and I was like, don't forget to put in your song. And then I was sitting at my desk working on my presentation for today. Spoiler alert. And then I thought, oh, maybe I should pause for a second and put in my song. And I pulled up my phone, forgot what I was doing, and went back to work.
Editor, put my song on.
Being the only one that did put a song in for Songs of the Week, you have every right to talk
Yeah,
about it.
and I will.
You've earned it.
I'm not going to abuse it. Allegedly.
Gentlemen, you know.
Then
That-
you
I
go.
don't know about that.
I hate that fucking saying. I hate it. Those who
What is
know, go. And hold on, let me look up the correct thing because I'm definitely gonna shit all over
It
it.
goes, those who don't know, don't
Well, this
go.
guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Hold on, let me see here.
I
Okay,
couldn't
so
wait 2 minutes.
I'm gonna talk about my. Oh fuck! I typed in those who don't
Are we
know
filming
first.
2 minutes in as well? So, well, while Wes is looking that up, I got engaged last week. In our shout out week. Yeah.
Big engaged
So,
guy.
Look at my ring, my bling.
Why is your ring red?
Wait. According to Google AI, which is basically, the new gospel.
Right.
A common saying. Oh, the first off, the correct saying: "Those who know; those who don't." What a waste of fucking breath.
And those who do not.
Implying
Also
that
do
a
not.
knowledgeable person will have a deep understanding, while those without it are unaware.
That's a bad explanation too. Those who
That's-
possess knowledge will know.
Water is wet.
Yeah, that's such a
Because-
nothing statement.
It isn't dry.
This is
Like,
Right.
like an old codger hearing "if you know, you know," and trying to explain what that means.
Well, one thing I know, the earth
My
is
collar's
flat.
blue.
My collar's blue, and the earth is flat. And if you do not know, you do not know that you know, or something like that.
How do people think? Not this. This is
Still.
nothing like no bearing on what we're talking about today.
I might just
But
walk
I
off the edge of it.
am. And the Flat Earth Society says that they believe that other planets are round because they've
The
been
Who
observed
Society?
to be round.
Oh, flat Earth. I
Yeah.
don't know why I couldn't put that together.
How? Like, yeah, but that's the thing. They're saying you can't observe the Earth to be round.
I wonder at what point, like,
And I can't
okay.
observe them to be smart. What are they talking about?
Okay, so do we think in this instance is it like Minecraft where it's like so it's like flat and then you dig down and then void underneath it? Like, is there what's
well,
the y-axis we're working with? I guess
No,
the
it would be
z-axis we're working
space.
with.
I think the general consensus is that the Earth is a disk.
So wait,
With the outer edge being an ice ring, and then it's just kind of suspended, like when you see like floating islands in
if
movies.
if this is the sun, does the Earth orbit it like this, or does it orbit it like this, or what about like this, or maybe flat Stanley edition?
I believe in flat Earth theory. I wonder if they think the sun goes over the Earth because I think
For our audio listeners, you're
Ooh.
not missing out.
yeah, I didn't glean a ton from the diagram, but I do. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Like, is the Earth tight? No, not well. That wouldn't be that either.
Oh, well,
I
no,
don't know.
so it is like this, but since we're in the middle, it's like turning, like Wes was saying. But to us, it looks like a 3D object, but it's flat. It's just facing us the whole time.
Oh, so it's like this.
The flashlight really sells it for me.
Dude, I remember we have a total eclipse of the phone. That shit was from the news a long time ago. Now, also, don't them flat earthers believe in like the ice wall, which
Yeah.
is basically the Minecraft Farlands IRL?
Yeah, they believe in the ice wall because that's what keeps the ocean from spilling over the edge.
Wait, okay. Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at a diagram of like the flat earthers' idea of the Earth, it's awesome because it just looks like the top-down view of the Earth, except you just split it open, and then the entire outer edge is Antarctica.
That's pretty sick.
It's so cool. It's a cool idea.
Maybe this is
for
my
a
new
fantasy. Yeah, I don't know. I just saw a thing about flat earthers the other day, and I don't get it. I don't know.
I saw a video of that experiment where so if the Earth is flat, you can put two boards at the same height with like holes drilled in them.
Yeah.
And if light would shine through the hole if the Earth was flat, and they go and they do it, and it's like, well, that's not supposed to happen because the Earth is fucking round.
Yeah, proving that it's round.
Yeah.
So also,
Trying to prove that it isn't.
their logic of if other planets are observable by the spacecraft that we sent up there,
No.
the same spacecraft that
They
took
don't
pictures of
accept
Earth.
that. They only accept like if a telescope on the Earth can see planets, they accept that. They don't like if anything gets sent to space, it's assumed that everything they send back is a lie.
Right.
Damn.
Yeah, which honestly, genius way to believe in what you believe.
Have any of them been on a plane before, do you think? And
yes,
looked out
and
and been like,
they often talk about how the windows are fisheye windows on airplanes. So like it makes the plane like it makes the
Really?
yes, dude, literally. You would not believe they have an answer for everything, and they're all dog shit stupid, but they have an answer.
man.
Yeah, yeah, man. That
Yeah. So if you
It
wanted
must be
to,
so freeing to be stupid.
you think, but they put in so much work to like defend their belief
Yeah.
of the flat Earth. I do wonder what number or like what percentage of flat earthers actually believe it being a flat Earth,
Which
and
is
what.
rage baiting.
Yeah, it's got to be a lot of rage baiters. Like Colin could be a flat earther. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. But Colin would do it for his own sick amusement.
That's
I
what I'm
guess
saying.
This is our litmus test for if Colin listens to the podcast.
Oh man,
We're getting a strongly worded Discord message in a day or two.
I've heard we have fan mail on the way.
Really?
Yeah. So we'll have a mail opening
Interesting.
segment. Where
Is
I
it a
open mail.
bomb?
Well, it'll be the last segment we ever do.
Well, you ever do, let's be clear.
Well, okay, Mountains Don't Like Baseball goes on the Big Two. Gentlemen, you know what I love
Besides gambling.
besides losing money by gambling is gaining money by investing.
Ah, yes.
What do you know about Bitcoin?
Oh, that somebody from India will call your grandma and have them go to an ATM in a gas station where you can put it into Bitcoin and they'll take all their Bitcoin.
That your old PC was probably turned into a Bitcoin server, and that's why it got bricked.
You know,
Bitcoin
if I had
farming
like
server, whatever.
understood about Bitcoin with my old computer, I might have done it.
I haven't put any effort into trying to understand it, but I don't get it.
Perfect, because I now know everything that there is to know about Bitcoin, and y'all
This
gonna
wasn't
learn
meant to
today.
be. So I wasn't meant to learn today.
Oh,
Let
yes.
me believe in a flat Earth.
Welcome to K through 12 2, learning about Bitcoin. What's your?
When did we learn?
Well, you have to sign up for my course. Have you read the syllabus yet?
So you're spending $1,000 on this textbook
You
I
have to
can't-
buy it.
that you
Just
won't
like-
read. Does that connect to my Wi-Fi?
Oh God.
Okay, so Bitcoin. what is Bitcoin? And, you know, not like at a granular level, but can either of you tell me?
A non-fungible token.
I wish I'd looked up the word fungible before this because I kind of forgot that people called it that.
Mushroom.
Also, I don't think it is a non-fungible token.
I think that's...
You use
yeah.
Bitcoin to buy NFTs. It's
NFT. That's right. I forgot what that acronym stood for. Yeah, that's not Bitcoin. Bitcoin
it's
and
cryptocurrency.
NFTs. Yeah, it is cryptocurrency. Those two things, crypto meaning secret, and currency meaning can be exchanged for goods and services.
Oh.
Bitcoin is just a currency. All this other stuff that's like NFTs or other like digital asset kind of things like meme tokens, none of that stuff is actually like Bitcoin, because all of that rests on other things that I'll explain later that aren't just currencies. But Bitcoin itself is just a currency. That's it. So let's start at the origin of Bitcoin. Okay, a lot of people ask like, where did Bitcoin come from? Where did Bitcoin come from? Who started it? Who controls it? You know, like, where does it run? Like, how does it do anything that it does? So I looked it up. It's unconfirmed whether or not it's a person or a group, but there is an entity that goes by Satoshi Nakamoto, who in 2008 published an article called Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, which just outlined the concept of the Bitcoin system, how it would produce Bitcoins, how you could use it to buy and sell, and then what the underlying blockchain concept was, which we'll get into later. So this person, which from this point I'll just assume it's a guy, this guy posts this article and says, this would be really cool. We should totally do it. He writes a program that builds kind of the initial system that all of this can run on. And with that system in place, he starts the first transaction, which is the first block on the blockchain, which is called the Genesis block of the Bitcoin blockchain. From there, he gave that code to some other like early developers. They took that code with that blockchain and that start, and from there just built onto it and added to it over time, making it what it is now. Nowadays, there's not a small number of people that work on it. Like, it's hundreds, maybe thousands of people that work on the code. And only things that everybody agrees on can be changed, because it generally, nothing really needs to change. Like, the system works, you know, like, it's good now, it's efficient, like, everything's fine. But if something does need to change, it requires a ton of consensus, such that not any one person can just go and mess with the system.
Given that a lot of people have their money in it.
Right. Yeah, so that code, that underlying system, what it does is it's the program that essentially runs a blockchain. I'll get into what a blockchain is in just a sec. Okay, so Bitcoin, digital currency, can be spent for stuff, traded for things. Bitcoin is decentralized, and that is a word that is thrown around a lot, and I think nobody really knows either what it means or like what is the impact of what it means. So the idea is that every currency that we have, like the United States currency, is run by some entity or organization. So like the United States dollar is run by the Federal Reserve. So it is centralized by that Federal Reserve. They decide when to print money, how much to circulate, to whom to circulate, like that kind of stuff. They make those decisions for the dollar, which influences the value of the dollar as it relates to the economy, right? So Bitcoin is decentralized, which means that there is nobody that controls when Bitcoin is generated. There is nobody that controls who gets the Bitcoin, and there's nobody that controls like the flow of it. Once it's out there, it's out there. You can do with it whatever you want. So that's kind of like, that's a concept that people, I don't know, it's tough to kind of grasp like what's the benefit of that, but the idea really is that it makes it more robust. Like, not like some person can't just make a decision that then devalues the currency, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it also makes it more difficult to regulate, I imagine.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because in the the example of the dollar, it's like you can go to the Federal Reserve and be like, now you cannot do that, bad.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you really, to my knowledge, the system itself can't be regulated. What could be is like whether or not a store chooses to or can have Bitcoin as like an available payment medium, that kind of thing, because if it's an American-based store, it can be regulated by the government. But that doesn't really have to do with Bitcoin or the value of it or how it flows or whatever. Like, it still does what it does. Okay, so Bitcoin is a decentralized digital cryptocurrency. The crypto in it, this is the part actually while I was reading, because I didn't read the whole thing, but I read through the guy's paper that he put out. It's like an 11-page paper. It's actually really interesting to read, because he talks about like why he designed it the way he did, how it's resilient to different kinds of attacks and that kind of stuff, and like how the cryptography is secure. So he can explain it obviously way better than I will. But the gist of it is this. A Bitcoin owner has a private key, which proves that they own the Bitcoin that they own. And they have a public key, which is what they use to exchange that Bitcoin with other people. Your private key is like, it's like an astronomically large number. Like the chances of guessing it, whatever, like it's basically impossible. Your public key is derived from your private key by, they call this, your public key is determined by multiplying your private key by a specific point on an elliptical equation, which is y squared equals x cubed plus 7. That equation, they pick a particular point, multiply that point by your private key, and that is your public key. And for whatever reason, this formula, you can't go backwards.
What? That was going to be my question. What?
Yeah, the whole thing is that you can't go backwards. The function itself is called SECP256K1. Cool name for an equation.
So it takes a random point from the private?
It was called a specific point. I'm not sure what determines what that specific point is. But in my head, it's a random number, but I could be wrong about that. I will say that part of it is probably the least important. The most important part is the part that I understand the least, which is how you can't go backwards. Right. But that's...
Well, I also wonder if it's being taken from a certain point, and we're talking about like purely just a number, it's like surely multiple people would have the same public key then.
Well, it's not points like... Not like x equals 1, y equals 1. It's like x equals 1.1221. Whatever, like extremely specific. And because your private key is unique, your public key...
Gotcha.
They're such huge numbers, they're going to be unique. So, yeah, they make a note. They say the math to create a public key cannot be done backwards, even by supercomputing. Quantum computing can't figure out how to go backwards, which is crazy. Yeah. So if you're interested in math, that would be a really cool thing to do a dive into. What is it about this equation, like the more intricacies of how it worked? I didn't care about all that. I kind of wanted to just say, suffice to say, there is a formula that they use to go from your private key to your public key, and you can't go backwards. So that's how you have a unique key in both senses. One of them, which other people will see, but can't be used to access your money without your permission. That's the idea.
Gotcha.
The point of that is to say that as long as you have your private key, then your Bitcoin is safe and secure on your own, unless you do something foolish, right?
So how is a private key generated? I'm assuming that comes first?
I think a private key is generated just the first time that you create a digital wallet. So presumably with like... I actually don't want to shout out particular franchises.
So it's not tied to the coin, it's tied to your like bank account.
Essentially.
Like as an analogy to that.
Yeah, because you are one person with one key. And that one key houses the different whatever amounts of Bitcoin.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So the key part of Bitcoin that confuses the most people, is the most important, is the blockchain.
Mhm.
Can either
You got
of you...
me. I don't fucking. Can either of you? No, I can't. Sorry, go ahead.
This is very information dense, so if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to hop in. Otherwise, I'm just kidding.
I'm concerned at my ability to understand this. That's about it.
Suffice to say, it's cryptographically secure. Like that's the whole point of the ellipsis thing. Is it's secure. All right, the blockchain broken down into consumable and understandable pieces. The
Blocks, if you will.
blockchain, the blockchain, or a blockchain rather, is a public ledger. Ledger meaning list of transactions. Public meaning viewable and accessible by any person anywhere.
Okay.
So a blockchain is a link of blocks. Each block contains 2,000 to 4,000 transactions or so. Yeah, I originally thought that it was one transaction to one block, but the idea they solve blocks like every 10 minutes, and whatever transactions occur in that 10-minute period get put into that block. But again, more into that later. Suffice to say, it is a public ledger. It's just a list of transactions. Every transaction that exists gets put onto the blockchain in a block. That block outputs a number called a hash, which is used for the next block. And each block is kind of like linked by this hash, such that if you tried to take one out and put in a new one, or change the data in a block to try to falsify a transaction, it wouldn't work, because the way the hash is generated is based on the data on the inside. So if you change any of the data, then the hash output is generated, and the output will no longer match the next block.
Okay, so like imagining like a trailer hitch, it makes a infinitely complex like type of shape that only the infinitely complex matching shape can like connect to.
Yeah, that's actually an extremely good analogy, because the name blockchain comes from, like, referring to as blocks is like saying each one is a specific shape and only fits with the shape next to it. That is actually how it got its name. Well thought, Glenn.
Hey, thanks.
Okay, so no block can be altered, because then the math that connects it to the previous and the next one would no longer work, and there instantly everyone would know that something was changed, so you just can't change. A block is just a collection of the transactions and their data. So it has the timestamps for the transactions when they occurred. It has metadata of like, I think like the public keys and stuff like that. And then it has a reference to the previous block's hash. So these are the things that kind of come together into one block. What is a hash? A hash is a series of numbers and letters that are output from a complicated function that is designed to make a series of numbers and letters. That's it. It's just a string of garbage. The thing that
like the suggested password Apple always tries to give me.
Oh, dude.
Genuinely?
Yeah.
Yes. So the difference is that's like just pure random output. But the idea of a hash function is that it takes in something. In this case, it takes in the previous block's data, like their whatever their hash value is out. It takes in that hash value. It takes in the current transactions, the current timestamps, the current data, and then it'll take all that stuff and run it through an algorithm that is deterministic, meaning every single time you'll get the same output if you have the same input. The idea is that this function is so highly complicated and spits out a 256-bit string, which is a lot. That the same thing, like you can't go. Yeah. Well, no. Yeah, you can go backwards. I think it is deterministic, but it's incredibly complicated to go backwards, and there's no reason. The point of
if you have like a random number generator, eventually you will likely end up getting the same number, but like you will never be able to mimic those same variables within each block.
Yes.
So if you make it dependent on that, you will never be able to generate the same number.
Right.
Sequence.
Yeah. So there's two extremely important things that exist when building a hash, which is the basic of building the block. One, it includes something called a nonce, which is just a random number between one.
Call me that.
You're a random number between 1 and 4 million. Because that's what a nonce is.
That's sick.
The point.
This is like Americans calling 2,000 pounds a ton. What the? Who?
I honestly, right.
4 million. There's nothing special about 4 million.
Oh, I hate to break it to you, but it is like 4,600,015. Like, it's a weirdly specific number. I think it's. It doesn't matter. So it takes in that random number as well, and it takes in the other data. The output, in order for it to be a valid hash, has to start with a certain number of zeros. And there's a reason why that's important. If you were to run a random number generator, say it generates 5 numbers. Glenn, give me a random 5 number code.
92874.
Wes, give me a random 5 number code.
86753.
Right. So completely random numbers. Why did neither one of your numbers start with 00097?
Because
I didn't want to.
Yeah. Duh. Who wants nothing?
Yeah, seriously. I'd rather have big number is better number.
Oh yeah. Wait, let me try 000.
99999.
So the answer is no particular reason, but it's because there's only 2 of you. Obviously, if you ask 10,000 people to make a number, probably someone will throw in 000 and then 2 whatever numbers. That is the only one of all the combinations that will be considered a valid hash. It has to start with those couple of zeros. And the point of that is so that when everybody is trying to find a valid hash for the block, the random numbers that they're trying, or rather the random inputs they're putting into the hash function to get the output, are... Not explaining. If you put in inputs into the function and it outputs a string of numbers, if you change any one digit or letter in your input, it completely changes the output. It's not even close to the same. And because you can't determine an output without the input, and the only thing that you can change is the input, it means that you have to go through billions of combinations of inputs to get an output that starts with the zeros. Does that make sense?
Enough.
Why though?
Consider my inputs to y'all were 5 digits. That's what I said. I said put in 5 digits. And y'all both spat out numbers. If I asked y'all a billion times, at some point you would spit out something that says 000 and whatever. It could be 5 zeros, but 000 something, right? But it would take a ton of tries before y'all would eventually get to that. And if I changed the input, if I said, give me 6 digits, or give me 1 digit that, I don't know, whatever, right? If I change my inputs, then it may change your answers. The point of having it be so many combinations is that it... Hold, please.
So, okay. Like, we're talking about in the context of making a hash, correct?
Yes.
So, what I'm not understanding is, like, what is the point of having it start with, you said 4 zeros?
It's because if any output could be a valid hash, then the first, like, whoever has the fastest computer or like the fastest access to the internet essentially would solve the block every time. But by making it an extremely low possibility that your inputs result in an output, it levels the playing field away from latency. So everybody has to try to get the extremely uncommon scenario, as opposed to any hash will do.
And is this what, like, the Bitcoin server farms are doing? Like,
Yeah,
just
that's what
running through those calculations?
Yes.
So that's solving the block.
Yes. Yeah. So to solve a block means to find a valid series of inputs, usually involves tweaking the nonce and the timestamp. A valid series of inputs that result in a hash that starts with a certain number of zeros, which is by completely random chance of the billions of things it could be. It starting with those zeros is extremely unlikely. So that is what makes it a valid hash.
Okay, so are we talking about like the beginning of a new blockchain? Am I following
No,
with
well,
this?
there's only one chain.
Okay.
It's a new block on the chain.
Okay. So in the amount, so you said every 10 minutes or so, it gets figured out.
Yeah, it takes about 10 minutes or so for.
And so that's based on the amount of processing power
Mhm.
going towards doing these calculations.
Yeah, so all the different people that are trying to solve these equations are called nodes, and it generally speaking just takes the nodes about 10 minutes to solve a block.
Okay. And so when you solve a block,
what do you get?
Like, do you win the Bitcoin in the previous block?
Well, okay, it's a great question. So yes, in a sense, right? That transaction, the first one that occurs in that block, all the other ones, there's sometimes transaction fees that occur, but they're small amounts. But the idea is that the first transaction of the block and the new block is worth 6.25 Bitcoin, which is like $300,000. You know what I mean? Like it's significant. In order to find a valid hash by tweaking your inputs, putting them into the random number generator, and then getting out a number that happens to be a valid number, starting with those zeros. So whoever does that first, it broadcasts that hash to everybody. It says, hey, I found a hash that is legal. It follows the rules of what a hash can be. These are the inputs that I used to get there. This is the hash that I have. Now, other nodes, please also confirm that this is true. Other nodes will input that hash or input those inputs, make sure that that hash is in fact valid. And if it is, then the block is created. Every transaction that occurred between the last block and the solving of that block, asterisk, is added to the block. And then any other transactions that weren't added into the block are then a part of the next one that they begin solving immediately.
Okay. So the amount of Bitcoin in the world is just consistently growing.
Correct, because every time a block is solved and added to the chain, 6.25 or so Bitcoin is generated.
Okay, so it follows like the same. I guess it's a way to like regulate inflation, right? Like in a sense, because when you just start printing money, you have the concern of it overinflating the dollar. But having like this rigid, like you get 6.25 per block, and you're kind of time gated on each block.
Yeah,
there's no way for it to like the market to become oversaturated.
It's like a governor on the printer, basically. So the printer can only print so fast, so it's consistent all the time.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like that's the whole decentralization thing. The benefit of not having it be an organization that runs it is that they don't decide how much Bitcoin is actually generated. That's something in the code that determines it, but generally speaking, it's 6.25.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, are the combinations for these not essentially infinite? Like, will we reach a point where we have, I mean, not infinite Bitcoin, but it's like, presumably this won't just go away. So what happens when there's 100 billion Bitcoin out there? Like, I don't know how many circulating right now, but it's like, when we get to like a huge amount compared to what we have now.
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like?
That is a great question. Although I would say, when the United States, for example, prints currency, they print so many units, millions, billions, trillions of units of the currency. Bitcoin makes 6 times 24 a day. So the rate at which it's increasing is so drastically less than other countries that mint currency. So I don't know that that's a huge work.
That makes sense.
At most, it would just be an extremely slow inflation, which would cause the price of Bitcoin to decline over time, except that Bitcoin trends upward with the U.S. economy. So it doesn't, it's like it doesn't affect it that much.
Gotcha. So, okay. Do you have any kind of data on like, presumably 10 minutes to get to like solve the block is like that's a decreasing number over time as processing power increases. That's my thinking. So like, I mean, what I'm looking for is like
Probably.
a year ago, was it 11 minutes? Was it 10 and a half minutes
That's a
on
great
average?
question. I don't know that.
Because I mean, we are you could even realistically, I mean, I'm sure people are working on AI to like do this faster and more efficiently.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's oversaturation concern, because like currently we're time gated on the amount of Bitcoin in the market. But
Yeah.
I'm curious, like if it gets to a point, it's like every second we're solving a new block. Like at what point are we not shooting out a ton of Bitcoin?
I think that the amount of Bitcoin that you receive as a reward is based on the time it takes to solve the block.
Oh,
so I think if you solve the block twice as fast, I think you get half the Bitcoin.
Interesting.
I don't know that that's true, but one of the things that you choose when you're inputting into your function is actually what transactions to include. So as you're solving it and more transactions are occurring but haven't been confirmed yet, they keep getting kind of added into the bucket. Generally speaking, when you're solving a block, you want to put as many transactions as you can onto it because, like I said before, some of those transactions have transaction fees, and whoever solves the block also gets those fees. So, like, you have extra incentive to have more transactions in the block, which incentivizes you to keep the system efficient, basically.
Okay, but wait, what about like situations where like you're running a shop and you accept Bitcoin?
Sure.
So someone pays you with Bitcoin, that transaction goes into a block. What is it? Just the fee that gets passed on to the person that solves the blockchain or solves the block, or like what do you get out of that? And
well, okay, so actually, let me go to my next thing, and then I'll answer that question. So, how does a transaction work in Bitcoin? Here are all of the parties involved: the person sending the Bitcoin, the person receiving the Bitcoin, and anybody who is mining Bitcoin at the time, also known as the nodes. The transaction occurs on a platform like a store. The store receives a request from the sender that asks all of the miners, hey, my public key would like to send this amount to the store's public key. So that transaction then gets logged and people start trying to solve the block. Presumably people were already trying to solve a block and yours is, the 1000th transaction. I think it would be extremely uncommon to be the first one. But anyway, your transaction then gets added to that list. When people solve the block, then whatever you transferred to the receiver, they receive. If there was a fee associated with the store, which I didn't look a ton into the fees. I just kind of assumed it was like it's like the store's way of paying into the system kind of thing. I don't know exactly how it works, but if there's a fee, then whatever that fee is would come out of what the sender had and just goes to the guy that solves the block.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, because sending and receiving Bitcoin is dependent on the block being solved, have there been like scenarios where it's just like taken extra long and that causes problems?
Yeah. So when you try to buy something with Bitcoin, it's actually fascinating to watch because it's not like Amazon where you, you click the buy now button and then the screen pops up and says, you purchased it and your delivery's on the way. Instead, it says, okay, your transaction is pending. And you can go to, there's like Bitcoin blockchain transaction websites that show you can like put in your transaction ID or whatever it is and say, what's the status of this transaction? And it'll say, oh, your transaction is being worked on by these couple of nodes or whatever. And then whenever you get the first confirmation, then it's like, oh, okay, so whoever this was, solved the block and they have now sent out the hash, which means that other nodes are going to confirm the transaction. And as soon as that's done, then your transaction's complete. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It can take upwards of, it can take up to like 20 minutes. If you had like a really early transaction, but your transaction wasn't added to the chain, then when that one's done, your transaction will be in the next chain, but you're waiting for both of them to get solved essentially before.
Interesting.
A note on the amount of time it takes for solving a block. If you solve a block, you gain your Bitcoin. You are not able to receive that Bitcoin until 6 more blocks are solved.
Why?
Why?
So that takes roughly an hour. That hour is it's to handle forks. Let's say that you have a pool of miners where everybody's working together to solve the block by saying, I'll check this range of inputs, you check this range of inputs, and they work in parallel, right? So you have this pool working on this, and you have this pool working on it. If within milliseconds or seconds, they happen to both find a valid hash, which would be two different numbers, but they both find a valid hash, both of them create a block. And there's now a fork in the blockchain. And both blocks then continue to work on the blockchain, confirming transactions until one of them is solved in enough time before the other one. At that point, the shorter chain is dissolved, and the longer chain is considered the true one. Both of them would contain the same transactions, whatever. So it's just to prevent, if you solved a block at the same time as someone else, and then yours was added to a fork that's later going to get dissolved, that means that you're also not going to get paid. So if you could spend your Bitcoin then you could spend it and then not get paid because your chain didn't work.
Gotcha.
So it's just to solve for that system, which I thought was kind of an interesting, cool that somebody thought of that,
Right.
There's another rule, which is, and I didn't really look into why this one was the way that it was, but you can't spend the Bitcoin that you've received for like mining specifically until 100 blocks have been solved, which takes about a day.
Huh.
Yeah. That one, I don't know why, but I thought that was interesting.
Okay, so you said this is not how other cryptocurrencies are done, or is it the same?
Great question. So Bitcoin is built on a blockchain, not the blockchain. People often call it the blockchain because Bitcoin was the first one, and it's the biggest one, both in like the number of transactions and the amount of money being transferred.
Is there the blockchain, or
no? Everything is just a blockchain. Blockchain is just a concept. So there are tons of blockchains. All of them are unique to some coin. For example, Ethereum and either Solarium or Solanum, whatever it is. But Ethereum is the other big one. These other coins were also made on their own blockchain, and they function the same way as Bitcoin with some minor differences, like Ethereum being able to be used for not just transactions, but for contracts. So people can write contracts that go into Ethereum, and that's what birthed NFTs and other digital assets. That stuff is where people took a thing that's not currency, tied it into the blockchain, and then sold it.
Huh.
Yeah. So that is what kind of makes those things funny, because their value is not the same. You can't mine an NFT. You only mine Ethereum. But then the NFT is in the Ethereum blockchain. So its value is just supply and demand. That's all that it is, because you can't earn it. So it's what kind of makes those funky.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Stupid, you could say.
Stupid, you could say.
And I would, in fact.
It's an insanely intelligent way to do stupid stuff.
Yeah, it's like just a huge wraparound to just throwing away money.
Yeah, the NFT thing, and more specifically meme tokens, which that is like the coup de grace of this whole thing. All of it is horseshit. Disclaimer now before I even talk about meme tokens, never buy one. Like, unless you enjoy throwing money away, then you certainly go crazy. Okay, so how stable are cryptocurrencies as an investment? We have a shaky understanding of what Bitcoin and the blockchain system, what these things are. Should you buy Bitcoin? Bitcoin and it's comical that I wrote it this way. Bitcoin is the simplest of all cryptocurrencies because it is just currency. It doesn't include the NFT stuff, and it doesn't include all these other token things. Anything else that uses, I'll get to that in a second. It's just a currency. The price of Bitcoin tends to correlate with the NASDAQ, which means people, when the economy is doing well, or signaling, like when the NASDAQ is doing well, people have money to spend. And so they buy stuff. And if they're investors, they buy investments like Bitcoin. Economy doing well, Bitcoin does well. Economy does poorly, signals red, you should sell stuff, you need to whatever. Suddenly the Bitcoin's not looking like that good of an investment, so you sell it, so it goes down. So the Bitcoin, just like like the NFTs and stuff, it is largely just based on supply and demand. The thing that makes it different is that you actually can earn it. You can be a part of the generation process, which is the thing that gives it more inherent value than the other curve. Yeah. I think it's fine to own a little Bitcoin. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, a little.
Yeah. I don't know what percent would be like a smart amount to put into Bitcoin. Personally, I don't think I own any Bitcoin. Or maybe I have like $5 worth. But there's no reason to buy that over any other stock. So I would say if you are just interested in it, you can get a little Bitcoin. I would stop with Bitcoin. I would not go into Ethereum or into Sol or whatever, even if they are one which operates on their own blockchain, which is a good thing. And because that means that they can be mined, so you can be part of the generation process. They're into this other weird stuff, the NFTs and the tokens, and I don't like it, so I don't touch it.
I just don't want to touch it. I mean, I think I'm with you. Like, I might I'll probably, once I get a little bit of money to invest, I'll toss a little to and then just see what happens.
Right.
But I'm not gonna I'm not gonna make it my whole wallet.
Well, yeah, no, of course not.
And it's also I understand how the bank works. This stuff is beyond my I'm not comfortable putting my money into something that I don't completely understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and when you invest in a company, it's like a tangible, okay, these guys are putting out good products and thus people like them. Whereas with Bitcoin, you're investing into a currency, which is basically run on people's general will at the time.
Yeah.
Like there's not really a reason for or against.
I think it would be wise to buy a little bit of Bitcoin and treat it like the stock market, where you wait for it to go really high, sell it, but not all of it, keep a little, and just repeat, and then you can make buku money.
Yeah, I will say, as an interesting guess about the future, Bitcoin mining at this point, it's more expensive to get into it than what you can get out of it. Because consider if you have one computer that's trying to solve a block, you will never solve it faster than the pools of computers that are solving a block. Which doesn't just mean one guy that has 1,000 computers, but 1,000 people that all work in a pool to solve the block. They will solve it before you. There's a random chance that you get it first, which is called solo mining. And if you do get it, you get 6 Bitcoin, which you're set for life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me go ahead. Keep talking. I'm gonna look up the value of a Bitcoin.
So the idea there is that these pools have a lot more chance based on quantity, but also like you mentioned earlier, they work in parallel. They don't overlap the work, whereas you were doing it entirely by yourself.
Yeah.
And it's everyone benefits from someone in the group getting it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
You can think of it like if you put 1,000,000 balloons on a football field and had a bunch of people in a blimp, and you're one guy that's in a different blimp, and you all hold darts, and you're trying to throw your dart and pop one balloon that has a Tic Tac in it. And you don't know
Yeah.
where it is on the football field, but you know,
Yeah.
like, maybe if I throw it more towards the 20, I'll hit this. And you see, oh, nope, that one didn't have a tic tac. Let me throw it over here.
Yeah.
1,000 people throwing a dart, one of them's randomly going to hit the tic tac before you.
Right.
Could you
right.
hit it first? Yes. Are you gonna? No.
By the way, 6 Bitcoin in today's money, as of right now today, is $691,971.60.
So sell all of your assets, buy a computer that can mine Bitcoin, and go for the solo chance.
So to have a solo miner, like, it's like the dream, right? You know,
I've got a solo, dude. I've got a solo miner.
Is there any? Is there any data on like how often a solo miner gets it?
Statistically speaking, it would be the same rate as in the long term, it'd be the same rate as everybody else divided by the number of people there are. So if there's 1,000 people working in a pool and they solve it, then 1,001 times you'll get it before they will.
So
You know,
the people
in a
working
much
in
larger sample size.
the people working in a pool are all working to solve the same block, right?
Yep.
So do they split that Bitcoin amongst X people in the pool?
Yep. You just divide the reward by the number of people that worked together to solve it, which is what makes it not as profitable as you might think, because 1,000 people in a pool is probably less, or that's probably less than what would actually be there. Probably be a whole lot more, because even if it was 1,000 people, some of those people are running 1,000 machines. So
Yeah.
When you say running, what does that entail? Like, is
you
it just
have
upkeep of the? Thanks, Wes. Is it just upkeep of the servers and like just physical maintenance on it, or like is there something you have to do?
I imagine- Yeah, like the processing power to do all that math, right?
Mhm. Yeah, this is
So
why
it's like
graphics
electric-
cards were the thing that exploded in value. Because basically what you would have is a computer, not like a Windows 11 kind of computer, but like a Raspberry Pi sort of thing, and graphics cards. The Raspberry Pi has your inputs. It has your data, nonce, and timestamps, and the transactions that you can put in. It has those things. And it's sending that to the graphics cards, because the graphics cards can do the computations billions in milliseconds. Because it's not complex for a computer to do the calculations. It's only complex if a human with a pen and paper were trying to do it.
Gotcha.
So, this is why, so they would have all these graphics cards. So the maintenance, per se, is, generally speaking, it's just running your algorithm that changes the input, sends it to a graphics card, changes the input, sends it to a graphics card, and all the while it's checking the hash that they get back to see if it's a valid hash.
That sounds like nothing work. That sounds so easy.
It's the kind of thing that you just plug in and let it run. The thing that is
Yeah.
cost prohibitive is the cost of the graphics card and the electricity, because running a thing like that 24/7 forever, potentially never getting paid from it because you might just never get lucky and never solve a block.
Yeah.
Getting your money back out of it is,
that makes sense.
unlikely. If you already have the stuff, it's still profitable to do, because otherwise people wouldn't do it. But what I thought was kind of an interesting idea is if it becomes unprofitable to mine, then less people will mine, increasing the chances that somebody could hit, making it more profitable to mine. So I think we're going to hit a pretty good level where it is slightly profitable to mine, and it will stay there forever.
Because I was wondering what the risk was. Because you realistically run no risk if you just have a machine that's just doing your business.
The risk is that you just lose money with no gain. That's the risk.
Yeah, I mean, if you already have this stuff, it's just electricity.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that's.
If I, on my computer now, started running a program in the background, then my computer would draw more power from the power supply and more from my house in order to run that program on the graphics card. So I would pay for it to do that. But I could do it on my computer. I could have a solo miner running, but the chances are just so astronomically low.
Yeah. So, okay. This is kind of tangential, but are all the other cryptocurrencies and meme coins and stuff, is that all decentralized in the same way, or are there any? Okay.
So everything is decentralized because all of these require a blockchain. The thing that makes the meme tokens despicable is that they are not built on their own blockchain. Ethereum has a blockchain. What people do is when
Pump and dump.
when their mining results in Ethereum, they rename the tokens of Ethereum that they have received something else. And then they market it as though it is something else. They
Okay.
get
But it's
people
not.
to buy it, and then because they are buying that thing, then the demand of it rises, and therefore the price of it, the value of it rises. And then because they have already mined the stuff, and they own the majority of the supply, they own the value of it as it rises. And then they just
see.
rug pull. So the thing is, that's called centralizing. What happens
Okay,
is
so-
somebody owns the supply and dishes it out by selling it to people. That is centralizing. It defeats the whole purpose of the whole system.
Okay, so on a base level, I understand what a rug pull is, but so you're you're taking money from these people, and they have this meme coin that is actually, in this example, Ethereum. So-
Yeah. On the back end, it'll be some other thing, usually Ethereum.
Okay, but generally, it's because it's such a small, okay, you solve this block, you get 5 Ethereum, and
Sure.
you take that 5 Ethereum and say, this is 1 million Glen coin.
Yeah.
So each person that buys 10 Glen coin gets fucking nothing.
Right,
Because
right.
they get such a small fraction of the Ethereum.
Exactly. And the
Okay.
Ethereum that they're starting with is already super. Like they were probably in a pool, so they may have earned like 100,000th of an Ethereum, which would be worth
Right.
pennies. They take that pennies, break that out into 1 million shares.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah. And then if they can get each share to trade at
Yeah.
$1, they turn 3
Right.
pennies into $1 million.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. So that is.
Dude, the fact that the Hawk Tua girl was like pretending that it was like a mistake that she made, you can't accidentally do that.
There's no way. Unless, okay, the thing about the Hawk Tua girl, right? Somebody on her team definitely had to like lead her astray.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Like it might be someone else is misleading you, and like that's a
Yeah, for sure.
different thing. But it's like whoever's doing that knows what they're up to.
Yeah, as far as whether or not you intend to be a rug puller, it's like it's not really up to you because that
I
is
do.
the technology that you're using. Like
Right.
you are fabricating a thing, selling it purely based on demand and hype, and then whenever the value is at its highest and it makes sense to sell, you sell. And that's the key thing, the rug pull for everybody out there. The way that it works is demand is what drives the value up. So whenever you sell, you're saying this demand is not here. The demand is now here because nobody wants this because the majority of it's being sold. That equalizes the supply and demand, which resets the value to the original value, which was 3 cents. But it's
Right.
after you've sold and made a mill.
Right. It's just stealing money. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay,
it is
so
just
how do you distinguish between a meme coin and a cryptocurrency that's like has its own blockchain?
Dogecoin.
It's Googleable information, but the thumb test, if it's called a token, it does not have a blockchain of its own. If it's called a coin, it does. Bitcoin is a coin, it has a blockchain. Ethereum
So
is a
is that-
coin, it has a blockchain.
Is it illegal to say this is Glencoin?
I don't, no, not in the name. I don't mean in the name.
Okay.
I mean like in like a categorization.
Oh, like the unit, like you would have $1 or a cent.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so like it would be referred to either as a token or a coin. If it's a token, guaranteed there's not a chain. But like I said, it's Googleable. You could just say is Glen coin.
Right.
Back to
I'm not saying this with any intention of actually doing anything
Yeah,
with that,
of course.
but also, public knowledge
Look,
for the
hey.
15 million viewers.
Everyone out there, be on the lookout for MDLB coin. We're coming in hot.
But this one is real, okay?
This one's real.
It has coin in the name, which means it's real.
Yeah. So I truly think that meme tokens and the creation and selling of them is despicable. And I think
Snake wall.
it is so bad that it was worth writing a poem about.
Oh, spoken word poem, if you will.
I will speak the words as I say this poem, but it's just a written poem.
Lord have mercy.
All right.
Let me prepare mentally for this.
This
Okay.
tells the story of you. To pay the bills, your weakening will goes to buy the crypto. BTC claims safety, but who knows where that will go? You find a site that seems alright, selling tokens with funny names. You see a stream, entertaining it seems, a man making claims. It's supply and demand, you understand, that makes the price of tokens. Get rich quick, just buy the dip, like a record that's been broken. You spend your cash, don't want to be last, and buy in at the low. Others do, now you're happy too as you watch the value grow. The man sweats, his position a bet that people's brains are dull. They bought the lie, got the price high, now it's time to pull. Like a cog in the machine that has run out of steam, you acted as a tool. The bubble pops, the value drops, and you were the perfect fool. Alakazam, you've been scammed by the man who mined. He changed the name, you played the game, it was only a matter of time.
That was kind of sick.
Really good poem. I
Yeah,
feel like
actually.
this is just the pipeline to you rapping.
I'm gonna do a poem every presentation
start
I've got. So
Just start saying it a little bit faster.
No, slower.
That's that Cameron flow.
That's the. I flow like ice.
Damn. The glacier.
Damn, it goes nowhere.
Yeah, so that's everything I have. That is a poor explanation of Bitcoin. Listen to it 100 times, you'll maybe understand. Or ask ChatGPT. It's really good at explaining it.
Yeah. That was really interesting. And I really had no actual knowledge of what it is and how it worked. And I always hear the word blockchain thrown around.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm too stupid for this. I don't understand.
You always hear the vocabulary for it.
Yeah.
Especially like a couple of years ago when all the, like, the Hawk Tuah girl and Tom, Dick, and Harry and Jake Paul were all doing those pump and dump schemes. But even then, like the only attention I ever really paid to it was when NFTs were big, because it was like the Bored Ape stuff that just looked absolutely like, who on earth would want to own something like that?
Right. Yeah,
Like
it's great.
it's like you don't own anything realistically. You
Yeah.
own nothing.
Yeah.
It's tangible. So and then people are like me when I get an NFT or when I see somebody with an NFT.
I do love that bit. Because I understand the perspective of the guy who's saying, my NFT is on the blockchain. It has been confirmed there is only one. Nobody else can own this thing. But then again, it's a picture. So you can take the picture. It's like there's nothing special about it. There's nothing special about your transaction. It's nothing. It's just nothing.
Yeah, I never knew that. Like, you hear these buzzwords all the time, and that's how they sell it to people that don't understand, which was me a little bit ago. And like, I never knew how NFTs were like plugged into that. I think that's really interesting. But it's basically a meme coin as well.
Yeah, pretty much. The only difference is that for an NFT, you don't have to mine anything ahead of time. You just make it, and then you just stick it on there. So it had no value. It has no value.
It never did.
Never had value.
Yeah, that's the thing about meme coins. It was worth 0.003 pennies.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. So, invest at your own risk. I would only buy Bitcoin. I wouldn't buy anything else. But if you do, just keep your money low. It's not like an option. Like, if you put in $10, you stand to lose $10. So, in that sense, it's cryptographically, it's extremely safe. You don't have to be like worried about using Bitcoin. More you know.
Yeah. But it's also more difficult to predict, going back to the more tangible, like investing in companies. You can see the way the wind is going for a company. With Bitcoin, it's like you can kind of see the trends and stuff, but it is.
It's, I guess, a good metaphor would be like investing in the stock market is kind of like playing cards, like poker.
Yeah.
Where you can, see what's going on, but Bitcoin is like a slot machine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, some people will argue that Bitcoin's more stable than something like the NASDAQ, because if the value of the US dollar dropped to nothing, Bitcoin wouldn't. It trends with the NASDAQ, but if the US went to zero, Bitcoin wouldn't, because it's global. So there's an argument to be made there about something about stability, but since neither is going to zero and they kind of correlate the same, except with Bitcoin being slightly more volatile, it's questionable.
So the argument there is diversify your assets, which is the correct thing to do anyway.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so if you were gonna put, say, 10% of your investing portfolio into just the Nasdaq, you could put 9% there and 1% into Bitcoin, and you'd be fine.
Cool.
But that's
so
it.
Yeah, so start mining it, dumbass.
Start mining. Get mining. Get out there.
The children yearn for the mines.
You know what? Solve my block.
Stay out of my block.
Golly, dude.
Wes, I can tell that you've learned a lot.
Yeah, because I was so fucking quiet the whole time. It's just I don't know. It's so crazy to me. Like I don't. Then again, I understand how banks work. It doesn't mean I trust them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a very much a put your gold bars in a Folgers can and then bury it in your backyard.
Weirdly enough, I actually do trust the Bitcoin system more than like
I do too, because
system.
you can go back and see all of it.
Yeah, and the fact that there was more stuff that I didn't go into about honest nodes versus dishonest nodes. The idea being that a dishonest node or somebody trying to falsify transactions or put in whatever, they are always overridden. The original paper has the probability formulas for what it would take for one malicious person to succeed in this system, and it's so incredibly astronomically low that it's not worth doing, which is crazy.
Huh.
But there's some poor soul out there that's like, so there's a chance.
Yeah, but like I think you would lose more money than you could stand to gain. Like there's nothing,
right? Yeah.
Because
you're better off just mining Bitcoin.
Yeah. Like you would be able to falsify your most recent transactions at best. So potentially you could spend Bitcoin and get it back. But you're not spending a Bitcoin.
I'm finna sell something, then buy something, then sell something.
Yeah, and if you were to falsify a transaction, then your public key would be known as dishonest. So then you couldn't do anything else with Bitcoin. So like, yeah, it's just it's a really interesting system, and I think it's very well designed for it to just be one schmuck wrote the code.
Yeah, regardless of like your stance on investing in it, like the idea of it is insane.
Oh yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, but I think it would be a lot less scary for people to talk about if it wasn't worth so much. That's the thing that makes it like, it catches your breath a little bit thinking about how much it's worth. Back when it was like a Bitcoin was $1, right? And it was more reasonable.
Well, the entry barrier is a lot higher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, although I mean, obviously you don't have to buy it you don't have to buy it one Bitcoin at a time.
That's true.
Be taking out a third mortgage on my house to afford the Bitcoin.
Well, and the argument against like getting a bunch of gold bars and digging them up and putting them in under your house, like gold will fluctuate in value as well. There's of course there's an argument about the inherent value of gold.
Yeah,
but it does operate on the same idea of public sentiment, more or less.
Yeah, that's true.
So you could waste all your money buying gold, and then everyone goes, "Nah, I actually prefer silver."
Yeah,
and then
genuinely, everything's that way. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like the currency could be water. Water is so much more a useful thing, but it's just not rare enough that people care.
Yeah.
Oh, look how rich I am.
Damn, that guy's rich over there.
Tastes like money. Well, if you're a regular Jordan Belfort, get after it.
True dat.
Yeah, man.
Okay,
if
well,
not, get a job.
Get a job. Put all your money in Bitcoin. No, put all your money in Sol.
The Earth is flat. If you go to the edge of the ice fields, there's Bitcoin there. Go mine it.
That's what they don't want you to know. You actually have to go physically mine the Bitcoin. All this computer stuff is a hoax. There's one guy out there mining. It's me.
Solving blocks is just actually making an ingot of Bitcoin.
The Bitcoin miner.
Yo.
All right. Well, thank y'all for listening to my presentation. Everybody at home, I hope you understand Bitcoin a little bit better.
Take care, and don't invest in stupid things.
Don't invest in stupid.
And if you do, tell us about it.
Yeah, please. Send us your biggest loss.
Send us your unique bit code bit thing.
Give me your private key.
Yeah, what's your unique Bitcoin bit thing?
What that bit thing do?
If you solve a hash, tell me first.
My brain processes faster than any computer could. I do the calculations in my mind.
I
Imagine that guy.
I did ask ChatGPT, like, if I wanted to sit down and solve a hash on pen and paper, like, what would the formula look like? Me just trying to understand, like, what's the math? And he was like, bro, you can't solve a billion. Like, don't even try. I was like, okay, dickhead. I know that. I wanted to know what's the math.
Nagged by the fucking ChatGPT.
He's like, it's actually not quite that simple. So, okay, shut up. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.